Hello everybody, I'm recording Unit 5. Unit 5 is about Goryeo dynasty and Kamakura period. So let me go back. So Goryeo dynasty was founded in 918 and it lasted until 1392. Goryeo dynasty is slightly bigger than unified Silla, but still smaller than current territory of North and South Korea combined. The capital of Goryeo dynasty was Daejeong, as you see over here, but they also had three other capitals, like a east side capital and the south capital, and they had a north capital, but their capital was Daejeong. You can see that it's centrally located. So important aspect is woodblock prints in the form of Korean Tripitaka, a collection of Buddhist scriptures. And then you are going to see refined, sophisticated aristocratic taste in Buddhist paintings. So Korya's capital was in Kaesong, and then during Goryeo dynasty, it's important that often they had conflicts with a nomadic group called Pyun in the north, and then subsequently in the 13th century, Goryeo dynasty was invaded by Mongols. So from 13th century to the 14th century, Korea suffered very much under the Mongolian invasion, and then they had to move their capital from Kaesong to Ganghwa Island. It is a small island off the coast from Incheon, and this is a good location because Mongols were afraid of crossing the ocean. And then Mongol occupied Goryeo and created two campaigns to invade Japan, 1274 and 1281, but both of them were not successful. They just went to the Kyushu, or a small island called Tsushima, and then they had to retreat. The navy wars were not suitable for Mongols. So Pitaka Koreana are three part collections of Buddhist canons. They are composed of three: regulations of monastic life, discourse with the Buddha. So this is the most important one, the Buddhist sutras. And then the third is the commentaries on sutra. So obviously you need a commentary, otherwise you cannot really understand the most important element of discourse with the Buddha. So in Korea, in Haeinsa or Haein Temple, in southern part of Korea, we have a library with 80,000 wood blocks. So you can see a monk is taking out one wood block. It looks like this, but in the library you have 80,000 of them. So they are all carved on wood, and they are also reversed, so that if you print out this on a piece of paper, that they will look like the same or correct order. But here it looks a little, I mean, they should be carved in the reverse shape. But during Goryeo dynasty, we also know that they invented a movable metal typeset. So this is a new idea. Instead of carving the entire text on one wooden text, they were thinking of replacing each Chinese characters with a movable typeset. So they made maybe like a dozen or 2 dozens of the same characters, and then they are going to lay out to make meaningful sentence, and then they are going to print them out. So this is unprecedented. And we know the evidence of use of metal typeset from this book called Jikji. Jikji is this book. So we know that texts are printed. They are not woodblock prints. They are not handwritten. We can tell. So how do you create these kind of pages? So in a ruled frame, you are going to insert individual letters, and then you are going to print it out. But as you can see here again, in order to have order like this, the individual letters were cut in a reverse way. So they are created out of beeswax. It's called the beeswax casting method. So the metal casting method is exactly the same as earrings or gold ornaments or metal ornaments. The same deal. But you have to create very small, tiny letters in order to create. So we don't have a type set from Goryeo dynasty. These are reproductions based on historical records. So Jikji is a great example, and currently it is kept at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. It's not in Korea. It was taken with the royal books to France in 1866. So movable typeset is also invented in Europe, but that was much later, around 1450. So Korean historians are very proud of the earlier dates of movable metal typesets by Goryeo dynasty people. But what is interesting for both Korea and Europe, especially in Germany, is that they use the movable typesets to print religious text. Like this is Bible. Moving on, movable typesets was developed further in Goryeo, Korea in the 12th century. 100,000 pieces of types were cast in bronze. And then we also know that other fonts were made in 1420 to 1443. And then it is a Joseon dynasty much later. World's first movable typesets and printing of are dated to 1234. So Jikji is the remaining book, but we also know that there was a precedent as early as 1234. Examples of these metal types are on display in the Asian Reading Room of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. And then those Buddhist sutras, once they are printed out, they have a frontispiece paint. So these are frontispiece painting. But look, the background is really dark. They are printed on indigo paper. Indigo is a plant. And if you collect indigo plants and then make liquid out of their leaves, then it becomes the source of blue pigments. And where do you use it? Usually in your garment creation. Blue jeans, right? Indigo. So they dyed their paper. Paper is on tree fiber, like a plant fiber. And then if they print gold or silver elements on top of dark paper, then it stands out better, right? Like why would you print silver on white paper? Hardly visible, right? So that's why they made the ground dark. And then during the Goryeo dynasty, most referenced work is Water, Moon, Avalokiteshvara. And can you find the water and moon here? Water is here. Moon is here. So it is a unique iconography popular in Goryeo dynasty that is showing Avalokiteshvara, a type of bodhisattva, a luxurious dressed man, aristocratic man, Avalokiteshvara, is resting on the cliff, and then it's a night time because the moon is in the middle of the sky. So he's still off the ocean cliff and resting, and he's thinking about how to have more lay people. But he's not alone. Can you see that he's not alone? Here it says a little boy on the right. So there is a little boy named Sudana. He is assistant to Avalokiteshvara. And then there are three other well-dressed noblemen here, and they are supplicants. They are devotees of Avalokiteshvara, making their special requests right in front of him. So this particular iconography of luxuriously dressed Avalokiteshvara painted on the rock in the night time is very popular and unique iconography for Korea Buddhist painting. And can you also tell that this is painted on silk? Usually these colorful painting is usually possible on silk. Silk is more durable than paper. And then with beautiful pink colors, and then these decorations are painted over many layers. And then over time, the fabric of silk becomes a little bit loose. So you can see the woven like a traces. And then it is colored into dark brown like this. So you can read more about what Avalokiteshvara is capable of. So this is a deity or a model of layperson of infinite compassion and wisdom. So whenever you encounter a difficulty in life, you are going to ask for help. And then it also has a kundika, ritual vessel used to sprinkle water. So can you find the kundika here? But almost impossible for you to find. I can find out. So it's right here. This particular painting is at the Metropolitan Museum. You can search for their website. So here you have a little here, and then the plant is growing out of these bottles. So this is called the kundika. So the area is purified because of Avalokiteshvara. So I'd like you to read all of these in your own time. So why do you make such a beautiful decoration of painting? This is related to the idea of Chang'om or Alamkara. So the idea of conveying a sense of sacred splendor through rich ornamentation and visual glorification was prevalent among the upper classes in Korea period, and part of the belief that one's goals could be achieved through the proper performance of rituals. Okay,